Hey, and welcome to the Mountain Cat Guitars podcast, where we discuss all things guitar related. My name is Doug Meyer, owner of Mountain Cat Guitars, and I've been buying and selling guitars professionally for over 25 years. From boutique guitar and amp builders, vintage guitar dealers and experts, guitar repairmen and luthiers, retailers, manufacturers, and of course guitar players, we talk to the people who buy, sell, play, and of course obsess over the things we love most, guitars. This is part 2 of our talk with Josh from Protocaster Guitars. Hope you enjoy.
Another aspect that I think is interesting and worth focusing on is the amount of trust that people are
I still find that amazing that someone will send their guitar to us.
Right.
Well, no, I should sound more professional than that. We, but in reality, we're going to strip their fucking guitar.
Yeah. This is an object.
Like, now I know we're good at it, nothing is going to go wrong, but still.
Sure. Right. These are people who have likely never met us, likely never shaken our hands in person.
Right.
Are sending us
They're gonna let us strip the finish of their
expensive
guitar,
object,
right.
the thing that is pretty intimately attached to them. A thing maybe they've written a bunch of songs on. They're just going to send it out to people that they don't know.
Right, I did it, way back in the day, but now we are those people.
Yeah.
But, I think we do a really great job. We've never had anyone who wasn't thrilled with the thing, so you become more and more confident. But it's every once in a while, you do think like, I hope we don't fuck this guy's guitar up.
Well, I'm just grateful for that placement of trust.
It's an amazing
people are
thing.
Willing to,
I don't take that for granted. That's why I like when someone's guitar's in our care, we're fucking responsible.
Yeah.
And you're responsible for their experience.
Yeah.
They're paying money and they're really emotionally invested in this. So it's not like, well, fuck you, your guitar's late. I'm just not going to pick up my phone, which is what half the guys do.
I'm going to disappear.
I'm just going to fucking disappear.
Yeah.
And you're going to keep calling, and I'm just going to keep not calling you back. I'll never, ever do that to a customer.
That is an industry
because I know
problem.
that it just makes you unhappy. It's like when you should be having fun, now you're getting uptight. Like, I can't get this guy on the phone. He's not answering my email.
Yeah.
That is such
starting to get
bullshit.
worried. What's going on?
Right. And now you should be having fun. He's not stealing your guitar, but you're not having any fun.
Yeah.
It's way more fun than after a long day you open up your email and there's your fucking guitar. Like, whoa, look at the weather checking.
That's mine.
That's your fucking responsibility when you're doing this. And a lot of people don't look at it that way. They just want money.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I like money. You could spend it on
it's useful.
goods or services.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. But
pretty cool.
But it's
understatement of the money. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fine. But it's not why I do this. Or I would say I could probably make more money doing something else.
Sure.
I don't know what that thing would be, and it would have to have pretty loose hours and have no kind of dress code whatsoever, and some other rules. But so probably not.
Yeah.
But this is what we do, and then I think we're doing a really good job of it, and we're it's funny because the learning curve is still so big. Every guitar you do is better than the last guitar, and not that but the very first one is fucking kick ass. It's right there. So not saying like, oh, those guitars from 5 years ago, you guys are fucked. Because the first one was kick ass, but it's little teeny things that you get to zero in on. Like anything, even playing guitar. You play guitar for 20 years, you're pretty good at it.
I think a big part of why that is because we are both crazy people in the right kind of way.
Right.
That in my case, I am incredibly stubborn. And so if whatever the project is not up to snuff, then damn it will be up to snuff.
Yeah, it has to be. That's why it just is going to have to be.
Yeah.
And the more stuff we do, and we have tons of stuff planned, obviously. We're always going to do this, and I think we're just really getting started.
I think that's right.
I think we've just scratched the surface of the things we will do. There is a Protocaster model in the works.
Yes,
So Protocaster, and we haven't really even talked about Protocaster so much. We've been talking about makeovers.
Yeah, exactly.
But there are Protocaster guitars, which are at this point, it's Strat and Tele, or we can't use those words.
Sorry, what did you say? I think you meant S-type and T-type.
Or didn't they even say we can't do that?
Sorry, ESS type.
Whatever.
S, and TEE
Don't
type.
watch us if you're looking to sue us. But these are the same thing. These are what this is based on. But this guitar, and listen to it acoustically.
Yeah. Lightweight.
This neck
high
is
quality.
Dynamite. It's hand carved neck.
hand-carved.
This finish is incredible. It's just everything one of these should be for not that much money.
Yeah.
Not nearly as much as Fender charges for a custom shop guitar, which is not this kind of lacquer and all this shit. And this guitar is just killing. So we're always going to make these. This is a S type. Or
I mean,
fuck.
that's
Get a little fucking sick of that. And this is the other kind. You probably recognize it. Don't use its name.
that's also a big part of what is fun about the business is
Sounds
that
killer, too.
we do so many different kinds of things. That we make our own branded stuff. That we do makeovers, vintage restoration.
Also, you make pick guards for these things. You make a lot of the parts, and we're going to make more and more of the parts. But a lot of the plastic parts you cut out.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things you are sort of fabricating. Look at I just saw you probably made that one because that one looks real.
Yeah, let's see.
And
yeah, what are you pointing to here?
just
you are
the,
pointing to this.
Yeah, but
see
that's the
if
right color.
I can get that.
They generally want the right color, but those little things like the bell cap,
Right.
Make the thing that the reissues don't have that color, but that's what the real ones look like.
Exactly, and it ties back into the idea of what is going to be a lure, what's going to inspire you to pick up the thing, to write that next song, to
Right.
come up with that next riff
Here's
that you're working on.
Well, this was the big thing, because when we were really starting to do this, before we'd done many gold tops, we're like, if we could get the gold top to look anything like Dave Johnson's, we would be fucking psyched. And this one, this isn't even that recent one, this one's a while ago, but that looks like a real gold top, because I have a real gold top, and it looks like this. But that one's really, and I bought this guitar new. This was an R9, or
R4.
whatever, R4, with the dark back. It had already had the dark back. But the color, I have pictures of me playing from back then, the color was just wrong. It was just pathetically not right. But it was a great guitar, so I always loved this guitar, but now that's the right color. That's what these really look like. And this part, I don't know if you can get in on that. That's what we really wanted, was the greening and coming through, which Dave Johnson was doing back then, and we were just like, it looks real, because no one could do that.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anybody reproduce that until him.
And I mean, again, part of it is for the beauty of these things. I mean, guitars are just lovely pieces of functional sculpture. But there's the practical element of just being drawn to pick it up more.
Yeah, no doubt. That's why, I don't like new guitars. I was always a vintage guitar guy. So a brand new shiny gold top or a brand new shiny anything to me just doesn't have that appeal as when we would go into a shop and you'd see that beat up, tore down guitar. You'd be like, give me that because it sounds better. And that's that chicken and the egg thing. Like, does that guitar sound better because it got played, or did it get played that much because it sounded good?
Yeah. That is, I know.
It's the PAF thing. But
which way does that work? Point?
Yeah, we used to think they sounded better because people played the shit out of them. But did people play the shit out of it because it was a good guitar and it got that way?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question.
No.
And someone out there might know that, but
they'll write in.
Right. There's just no.
They'll write into the Mountain Cat Podcast fan club.
Right. And we've been getting some pretty strange comments so far. Almost none of them productive. Thank you.
I find that hard to believe that a comment section wouldn't be helpful.
Yeah, especially on YouTube.
I mean, historically,
the YouTube people like to say fucked up things to you. One guy called me Hagar the Horrible. This was an early video when I was experimenting with a massive beard. It's like,
boy.
I didn't know Hagar the Horrible played guitar. If you're out there, fuck you. No, actually, I liked that guy.
Yeah.
Because I thought I looked just like Hagar the Horrible,
That's
so I deserved it.
Now
I know how to trim my beard a little better, so fuck you
It's
anyhow.
a fine beard. You've got a lovely
I'm working
beard
on it.
coming.
But back then it was just like, broof.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, I'm working a lot on
good.
it. That's a big part of the podcast. And the hat, too.
I mean, that's what people
because the
tune in
hat
for.
now has its own thing.
The hat's gonna have its own.
The hat
spin-off
now
show.
talks and it does promos, and go to our YouTube station if you're listening to this. And there's some very odd talking hat things because we have a bit of an odd sense of humor,
as opposed to normal talking hat things.
right? As opposed to the normal talking hat things.
The boring old.
My
straight-ahead
hat does
talking
nitrous
hat stuff.
oxide. It got stoned. It got drunk one time. So it's a little odd, but we have an odd sense of humor. And if you can't have some fun with this sort of thing, then you really shouldn't be doing it.
That's probably right.
Like guitars are. That's why I always tell people, like, guitars are supposed to be fun. Like if some guy calls me up to buy a guitar, chances are he's probably not a professional musician. He's probably a guy who just loves guitars. Doesn't get to buy a guitar every day.
Yeah.
It should be an enjoyable experience.
Yeah,
I think that's what really, and especially with like a makeover or something. A makeover is even more of an intimate thing. But,
Absolutely.
or any type of restoration. People call us and be like, I have a 52 whatever, and it was refinished terribly. Can you guys fix it? And you're like, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah.
You know, but that still is some guy trusting you with something he's had since the 60s.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's a big thing when someone's willing to put that trust into us. You know, I take that really, really seriously still. You know, I think
For
a lot
sure.
of people are just like, you know, whatever, I can make money.
I mean, it's an honor.
I think so. You know, like I remember hearing like an interview with like Chris Robinson when they were first starting the Black Crowes, and he was kind of like, you know, I write these songs with my brother, and we make them and we sell them to people, and that's a fucking honor that people will like take my music and
Yeah.
listen to it and make it a part of
Millions
their
of
life.
people.
Right, even if it's one person.
Right.
But they now made that a part of their life. You know,
Yeah.
that's like a serious thing. You know,
Yes.
it's not like I want to be a rock star so I can have a fucking airplane and tell people to fuck off. You know, it's like people think of it that way. You know, people are like, oh, you know, like I'm sure there
I
are.
love that telling people to fuck off.
Yeah,
It's like,
like-
oh man, God,
but
one
most
of these
people,
days.
yeah, most
one
people
of these
go,
days.
go through their life wanting to tell everybody to fuck off. So, and there are some people who get to go do it. You know,
Right.
so like,
What's the best way to make
I'm
that
gonna
happen?
practice guitar so I can tell some guy to fuck off. I guarantee there are people like that. You know, it's like, but you know, like.
Why do you play? Well, there's only one.
I'm going to
reason.
tell that guy over there to fuck off. But I'm sure I want to tell those people in
today.
my high school.
A week from
called me
now,
a
I can
fucking
feel it
loser.
coming.
Right. All those people called me a loser when I was growing up. I'm going to tell them to fuck off. I'm going to come to their house and buy it and kick them out of it. You know, like,
Ding
I'm sure
dong.
that had a lot to do with it. I'm sure I had those thoughts too. Like, I was a fucking loser in high school. All I do is play guitar. It was like the academics were high on the.
That's funny.
The second I got a guitar, everything went bloop. Because it's what you do. I mean, I was lucky enough where I got to make a living doing it. You
It's
know,
such
so
a cool
You could say I
instrument.
had a plan, but I didn't. I just didn't like school and I like guitar, so whatever. You know,
Yeah.
it works itself out. But you know, like, and that's why I think a lot of people who watch these podcasts could be budding, guitar players or guitar builders or amp builders and this and that, and people going like, well, how do you do it? You know, like there was none of that when we were growing up. I would have loved to know. Like, I didn't know people like, that were like. I didn't know people did what we did. And,
Yeah.
and then you start to find out, oh, there's guitar shops. Maybe I could work in a guitar shop. That seems cool. You just around guitars all day. You talk to guitar dudes.
Sure.
And it's ultimately like in high school, all I did was hang out at the local guitar shop.
Yeah,
I went to college. I hung out at the
depending
local
on the
guitar
guitar shop, that can be
Right,
a
I was very
cool
lucky.
thing,
There were
or
cool
not.
ones. Like when I was in college, I used to hang out at this one near my college, and it was a vintage guitar shop in the '80s. So they had everything. It wasn't
Yeah.
that terribly expensive yet, and just cool guys.
Yeah,
great players,
exactly.
and like what we would do is talk about music, and they'd like tell you all kinds of shit. I learned so much just hanging out there. It was almost like Chelsea. Well, later, before we even worked at Chelsea, we would just wake up in the morning, which wasn't the morning. It was 2 in the afternoon.
In the
We woke up in
morning.
our version of the morning, which was not.
Oh, what
other-
is it? 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you would get your coffee and go to Chelsea Guitars.
Yeah.
And then see what was going on and you plan out your day. Because everyone did it. And then when I was working there, I had to wake up a little earlier because everyone else was coming. I had to go open the place. But
You must have so many stories that I haven't heard from that place.
I was there the other day. There's a million things that. Eventually, we're going to have the Chelsea Guitars reunion podcast. And have, because there were just so many
It's
things.
going to be an
that-
8-part series.
It would be well. I want to get Danny from Chelsea on. Danny himself.
It's going to be a
would
16-part
be
series.
because even just you can't talk to Danny without talking to him for 3 hours, and you don't even realize you talked to him for that
But
long.
he's such a captivating
And he just-
storyteller, too.
Yeah, and you just get sucked in,
Yeah.
and he's always going in a million different directions. So even a Danny podcast would be so educational, and so long,
Long,
because it would be
gripping,
impossible for it to be
dramatic.
an hour,
Yeah.
because Danny's such an interesting cat. But imagine all the Chelsea guys, because everyone had different experiences there.
Yeah.
I worked even for less before, Danny owned the store. He had a partner, and I worked for the partner. So it was all these different things that went on. I didn't work for Danny. I worked for his partner, who they didn't get along. So, there's just so many crazy
that
things.
was a weird.
It was a weird vibe, but it
weird
was
period.
and there was so many.
Because you guys had the
amazing-
place partitioned.
They
if I
kind of
recall.
did, yeah. When I was a customer there, it sucked. So when I started working there, I wouldn't.
It's like something out of a sitcom.
It really,
like,
no one believes it when I
Yeah.
tell people that. They literally drew a line down the middle of the store, and
That's-
one owner had one
it's an
side.
episode of I Love Lucy.
Yeah, and it would get fucked up because I remember I went to Les because I met him first, and I loved him, and I was his customer, but you couldn't be a customer of both. You had to pick a side, which was totally fucked up.
That is ridiculous.
But I remember I bought an amp from Les, a Brown Princeton, I remember it. And I traded something for it because I never had any money. I traded some guitar for it. And I couldn't take it home. I was going to work. So I was like, I'll come back over the weekend and get it. So I'm so excited with this Brown Princeton. I go to get it, but it's nighttime now. So the other guys are there. And I'm like, hi, I
They're like,
traded Les
what are you doing?
for a Brown. No, I was like, yeah, no. And they were like, but I knew them, but I was like, hey, I traded Les for a brown Princeton.
Yeah.
I'd like to pick it up, and they were like, they'll look at each other like.
You said less and like, boom.
No, it wasn't that. They were like, we sold that. I was like,
What?
What? They're like, it didn't have a sold sign on it. We sold, because they would sell each other stuff. Like if it said $800 and someone gave you $800, they would sell it. And I was like, you sold my amp? And then
What about your guitar that was traded for?
Is my Strat like around here? Because they were like,
it.
oh, we sold that too. I was like, oh, that's very bad.
What? That's very bad.
Yeah, so I was like, they're like,
the second
whatever.
understatement of the year.
Well, less in the morning, not
Money.
a fucking problem.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. So they were like,
bad.
they were like, well, whatever. Take it up with Les. We don't give a fuck.
Wow.
So I was like, all right. So I called Les the next day. He's like, oh, it's fucking assholes. He's like, just pick whatever you want.
Yeah, right. Just take
he was like,
something.
yeah, he was so cool. He's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, I guess I didn't put a soul tag on it. He's like, that shit happens around here. He was like, I'm really sorry. He's like, just take whatever you want. Come in tomorrow. We'll find you something that I could give you.
That is
and I forget what I found. But I'm sure it was awesome. I'm sure I traded that for the next thing.
Sure.
But that kind of shit happens. When I started working there, I didn't do that. I wouldn't allow that to happen.
I mean, you actually raise an interesting point, which is that when you've got the gear bug, like we have it, and we clearly have it, you're like a gear nomad.
Yeah, I mean, it's how you find things. It's how you Les never once paid for anything. He traded guitars for everything. Like if he didn't feel well, he'd be like, "Does anybody have antibiotics?" And he lived in this really off the grid way before it was popular. And anything we knew somebody for. That guy's a chiropractor. Okay, call him. He would trade guitars for any. I mean, when I first met him, not when I first met him, I knew was a customer of his. When I first was getting to know him, he's like, I got to go to court. Do you have a sport jacket? We're about the same size. And I was like, yeah. He's like, go home and get it. I'll trade you something for it. He didn't have a sport jacket to go to court in. So I ran home and I got a sport jacket. Because what the fuck do I want it for? My mother had bought it for me or some shit. So I traded him a sport jacket for a neck of some sort. But that's how he did everything. And we did a lot of that at Chelsea. You always knew
I need
a
a sandwich. Take a pack of strings.
Right. Everything was bartered. Nowadays it's not so like that. But it was all among guitar guys.
Right.
They could be a guitar guy. He could be a lawyer though. So if that guy's, I need some taken care of. Oh, he'll take care of it.
I mean, that's
I'll give
the
him a
way
deal on a Telecaster.
That's the bug. That's the
right. And everyone we knew was
syndrome.
one. That's what the place was. And that's when I'm talking to guys on the phone, we're all the same guy. We're all the same thing. It's like our world. It's our thing. And I'm sure this goes on in every, the golf club store. I'm sure it's the same exact fucking thing. I'm sure there was a Chelsea Guitars version of the golf club store. We had a fishing store next to us at Chelsea Guitars, which is absurd. It's a fishing store in the middle of New York City, and they'd be casting into 23rd Street. It was just and it was a famous store. Yeah, how else are you going to test them? So be like, what are you fishing for? Cabs. They'd be fishing, they would cast into the middle. And this went on forever. It was a thing. It was called Capital Fishing. It was a huge, famous thing. But it's in New York City, so how else are you going to test it? Go right into the street. I mean, Daniel lived right upstairs from that. You would see, it was just the most absurd thing. You'd be walking down the street, and this guy's fishing in 23rd Street. People would be like, what are you fishing for? It's a fishing store.
Somebody put LSD
but
in
otherwise, you're just seeing a bunch of guys casting into the middle of an avenue in New York City. It was so absurd. But
it's like a Dali short film or something.
Yeah, so we've been going for a while, I assume. So maybe it's time to move to the 5 questions.
To the 5
questions. Right. We should make a thing for the 5 questions. The 5 questions. Right. That's Daniel over there. He'll be making the thing for 5 questions. Maybe even make it for this one, so you may have to edit that. But we'll talk later. I took off my glasses to read the 5 questions. Actually, I may have to wear glasses to read the 5 questions.
Might be time for another set.
Stupid purple sunglasses, but actual glasses that make you see better. Okay. Well, I mean, a lot of the 5 questions do come up anyway.
Yeah. I'm ready to win that car, Doug.
Is the Earth flat? No, no. But because the first one you probably touched on. But
I can't believe that this has come up a bunch lately. It's really weird. It's
flat Earth thing?
Yeah, the flat Earth thing. Has
it's
been
a whole thing. Yeah,
it's super weird.
It's super weird. I like
it. Been trending.
I just love that people are that passionate about it. They're like, fuck you, man. There's not really Well, we shouldn't do this.
Yeah, fair
just
enough.
in case
This
one of my
is- I know,
customers
I
is
know.
a flat Earth guy be like, I was going to get a Les Paul makeover, but
Right, fuck those
that guy.
guys.
It's the world is
They
round.
think the Earth is a globe?
Yeah.
Idiots.
What, are you going to ship my guitar to the round world? Fuck you. You know, like, all right, yeah. You got to watch what you say. You know? And they do control the universe.
It's true.
Or they don't know. Who cares?
The flat universe.
The flat universe, yeah, which isn't the universe I live in. Mine's kind of rectangular.
Yeah.
And has unicorns.
Yeah,
and
mine is like a
flames and laser snakes and shit like that.
laser snakes.
Always having laser snakes.
Laser snakes.
You gotta have laser snakes. And barbed wire.
Yeah.
So we sort of touched on this, but what were you doing before this?
So I have been a cook of various kinds for a while.
It's funny, a lot of people were food people.
Yeah.
Or that comes up in a question later, but you know, like
Honestly, I've had a number of weird, pretty unexpected jobs. I sewed curtains for 10 years. 10 years.
that okay.
Yeah, that one's
that was worth asking the
That's
question.
unexpected.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Curtain
I
sewing.
sewed curtains, pillows, swags, jabots, duvets.
Jabots? That's actually a thing?
Swags and jabots.
I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, so,
Not that
so
I'm that
imagine just
cultured, yeah.
archetypical curtains, right? You've got the part that does this, and then the parts that are on the side, right? So this is the swag. Those are the jabots.
Wow.
Yes.
See? You're learning shit here. Matt
You're
Gagner's
welcome, Internet.
podcast. You learned about some shit and some other shit.
Yeah, so did that for a
Wow.
long, long time.
Wow. Well,
I-
most people like have weird jobs when they're young, you know,
Yeah.
like, but
That's a weird one.
that's
That's unexpected.
really, really unexpected.
Yeah,
That
I
could-
worked as an electrician's apprentice for a while.
I can see that.
And did just a lot of dirty work for that job.
Yeah, that's at the beginning. That's usually like,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of crap over
Yeah,
there
like,
that shouldn't be there.
Hey,
And here's
new
this-
guy,
yeah.
go over there and do
Yeah,
that shitty
get a little
job.
dirty. I'm gonna be getting drunk over there.
Right? Yeah,
Probably gonna do some
exactly.
heroin.
Worked in a handful of kitchens doing stuff. I really enjoyed that kind of work. There's something
can see
like
that.
really fast paced and
Yeah. Well, people get really addicted to that. You know, just
Yeah,
like, get it
I
done,
mean,
get it
it's-
done, get it done, and then go get high.
So, I mean, there's no question as to why like drug culture is so associated with restaurant culture.
I know
it makes
why.
total sense. No,
Yeah, when you work
it's-
in it, it's
oh,
so
yeah, yeah.
pressureful that you have to go out and hang out after.
Absolutely.
That's why I
or just to depending on the kind of drug, just be high while you're doing it.
Right.
Just
Usually,
to
like,
be,
because a
like, super
bartender,
focused.
usually, like, you can't be drinking the whole time, but you're watching everyone drink. You can have maybe a drink, but then they want to go drink.
Oh,
They
I mean,
work
so
a-
there's that.
A
but-
super stressful job for fucking 8 hours.
Yeah, but say you're like a line cook.
Right,
and
that's
you've got,
super stressful.
A whole shitload of orders that
Yeah.
have come in. Those are guys who, I don't know how pervasive this is now, but at least at a time, it was the case that, a lot of those guys would just be coked up like, woo, all right, okay,
let's
you
do this
got one of
thing.
those, all right,
Yeah.
done. All right, what's next?
Yeah, well, you probably discover you can get it done faster.
Right, yeah, exactly.
It's like the thing, I do coke so I can make more money, so I could buy more coke. You know, that was like a commercial, wasn't it? I just do cocaine so I could work more, so I can get more money, so
I can buy more coke.
cocaine. So like, I do this so I can chop more vegetables, so I can get more money to chop more vegetables.
And actually, that's also another thing that I enjoy. So I cook at home
I know.
quite a bit.
Your
and,
pizza is incredible.
Oh, thank you.
I remember like when I was first getting to know you, we were going to a guitar show in Long Island, me, you, and Travis. Remember that?
Yes, yeah.
And you baked bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the guy baked bread.
Like,
and it was fucking awesome.
sure.
Yeah. You're like, oh,
not?
I baked a couple loaves of bread. We were like, you did what now?
That's funny. Well, Travis has become quite domestic at this
Yeah.
point.
Well, he's a Viking, so
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
he's a domestic Viking.
Yeah.
So
Tremendously
he'll cook you
domestic
bread and then he'll lop off your family's head.
Yes, yeah. He'll sharpen your axe.
But he was always into that. You
Yeah.
know, he was always into like making things, and
Yeah,
cooking
yeah.
things.
He's a real maker.
But yeah, he's just
Yeah.
I'll have him on the podcast eventually too,
Yeah.
because he's a super guitar player and he's
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Shred.
yeah. You know, we always go to the Renaissance Fair in the summer, which is
Yeah.
always a trip. You got to go with Travis.
Yes.
So,
Question number 2.
what are you listening to these days?
Oh, that's a good question. It's funny. I spend most of my time listening to podcasts and
I know, yeah, lots of podcasts,
lectures of various kinds. Musically, it's funny. I really only kind of touch little archipelagos of music here and there.
But you
over
play
the
a lot
past
of
while.
music too. I wouldn't
do,
get into
yeah.
that, but you're a very talented musician.
Oh, thank you.
You play guitar, you play drums, you sing, you do
Yeah.
all those things.
Yeah, so it's funny, I probably listen to more of my music than I do other people's music at this point.
I've known amazing guitar players who don't really listen to much music.
Yeah.
And like, because I'm a music junkie, I'm
Yeah.
always like discovering some new thing. I'm always buying records. I'm a vinyl junkie. Like and I was always like that. But I knew some amazing guitar players, and I realized like they didn't even have a stereo.
Yeah.
It just wasn't their thing.
I lean more in that direction, and not because I
people
want to, and not because
Well, a lot of it, they just didn't have the money at the time. They moved around so much that their record collection was scattered.
It's weird. I think for me, it's more just certain habits become
Right.
so ingrained that, like say with the talk radio thing or the podcast thing or the lecture thing, that I am just always like more knowledge, more.
Well, I'm into that too. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Like Jordan Peterson, I listened to all 14 of those biblical things. They're like
Yes.
3 hours each.
Yeah, exactly.
And I couldn't get enough of them. Like,
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah,
I like.
we're in a position
Yeah,
where
because I
we
love to
can do that
read.
easily.
You know, and my thing was always books and records. You know,
Yes.
like I would go to New York City before I lived there, and just to buy books and records. It's
Yeah.
before you could. Before the internet, you know,
Right.
you'd go try to find old blues records and just books. You know, I
Yeah.
love to read stuff, and now with podcasts, you could listen to stuff. You know, like I love podcasts. That's why I started a podcast.
Yeah,
You know,
fair
I
enough.
listen to podcasts all the time. I just didn't find one. There's other guitar podcasts. I'm sure there's really cool ones, but I didn't really find one that had to do with, say, what I do with guitar building or even vintage guitars. You know, eventually, we haven't really done one, but like when Danny does, it'll be about vintage guitars. You know,
Yes.
like vintage guitar dealers. And I find that really interesting. But the thing I do the most and what the podcast lends itself most to is builders.
I
But then
think
I'm going
that's
to have
right.
like Eric from La Bella Strings on, who makes guitar strings.
We talked about this a little bit. I think that's a fantastic idea. Eric is a super cool dude. Also, a very personable, charming guy.
And it's so interesting. I
But
went
strings
there.
are not a thing that
And
anybody
I went
knows
to
shit
La Bella
about.
Strings when I first met him. He's like, "Oh, come up. I'll show you how a string is made."
Yeah.
And I went, me and Travis. And holy fuck, I didn't know how a guitar string was made.
I mean, I have.
You use them every day for
some
shit.
Vague idea.
But to see a guitar string, the stuff go on, and they tap it, they throw it in the thing. You're like, holy shit, so much. And there's so much about a guitar string you don't know.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a
right,
really
it's this integral.
Yeah, we use them every fucking day.
Yeah.
But you never really think about them. But going to see him made, and that's going to be a really interesting podcast. His family's had that company for,
It's something like 400 years.
Yeah,
It is a
they were making like
crazy amount of
lute
time.
strings in the Middle Ages, some shit.
I
but-
want to say it is over 4 centuries
Yeah,
that company
I
has
believe
been
so.
in
Because
business.
most of what they make, I think, are all those European like oud strings and saz strings. Someone has to make. But when you see them, that's a lot of what's being made.
Is that
or
right?
those, they make a lot of that
Like
stuff for
interesting
European
gut
markets.
stuff and
yeah,
nylon
just stuff
stuff
for like
and-
I mean, of course they make upright bass strings, and they're
Sure.
famous for their electric flat wound strings.
Yeah.
But like they make for a lot of those odd instruments.
Yeah.
Valzuki strings.
Yes.
Like that's a lot of what's being made there. So it's super interesting. And it's in Newburgh, New York, which is
that's right.
where
I forgot
Chiho
they were so
moved, not that
close.
far from here.
Yeah.
That's why he invited us up. Me and Travis went. We're like, let's go see how a guitar string is made. And Eric's
Yeah.
such a cool guy.
Yeah.
And then
That'd be like one of those Mr. Rogers, like, today we're going to go visit where the strings.
Right, it would be really cool to go up there and do it. But we'll have him here, and I'm sure he could describe all kinds of cool shit, even the history of these things. Because
Yeah.
I know they started in New York City and moved up to Newburgh, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, he seems like a lettered enough man that.
Yeah, he's just cool.
Yeah.
And I love his strings.
That his
So-
description of the past would be pretty compelling.
Yeah, he's just so cool. The next one is, and this kind of goes with some of the other questions, but what would you be doing if you weren't doing this?
Oh, God. I think about that with some regularity. I have no idea.
I know it's hard to say because it's almost saying like
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's
But
funny.
so a lot of people
I-
had answers. Like Jamie, it's like I had a restaurant.
Yeah,
Because,
I
like-
don't. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Like what would I be doing if I wasn't doing this? I would do this. I
I-
never had a plan B where I was like, well, if this doesn't work out, I'll do some other thing.
Right.
My other thing just involved like dinosaurs. And like me riding them around. So plan B was like
God, the thing was dinosaurs.
Yeah, it was unworkable.
Yeah, it's like
me with a bunch of dinosaurs on Mars.
dinosaurs are somewhere
And,
in there.
So the
They're
guitar thing
doing something.
seems much more possible
That's
than
funny.
the dinosaur project.
That is funny.
Yeah,
John.
and people always go like, "Oh, what else were you gonna do?" I was like, "Something with live dinosaurs."
Probably a
Probably
triceratops
was-
would be involved.
Yeah, I think I might have been on drugs when I came up with that one. So, I never really worked out the details of it, but it sounded pretty sweet.
God, that is hilarious.
I think the pay scale was pretty good. The hours were pretty workable. The dinosaurs sleep late.
Yeah,
and so
yeah, exactly. They're mostly staying.
Well, that was my big joke, because they'd be like, "Oh, what was your fallback position?" And I was like, "Dinosaur."
They're like,
For your unicorns.
Sorry?
Yeah.
God damn.
Hovercraft.
Yeah.
I was gonna.
It definitely involves levitation.
Yeah, it involved a lot of very possible stuff that I was interested in.
That's funny.
So yeah, I mean, if somebody asked me that question, there would just be no answer. And a lot of people, I just liked this. So like, and I was kind of single-minded in that I like this.
Yeah. There are all kinds of things that I'm interested in, all kinds of things that I feel like I could devote my life to.
Well, you could build shit. Like, you built all your own tools, all that shit. So you could do anything. You could be a cabinet builder.
I mean, it's funny. Doing this kind of work really honed that side of me. I mean, that part has always been there. I grew up in a house where the manipulation of objects in the world was just, it was understood that you could do that. Where I've known people who are like, wait, you don't go to a person for that? You know what I mean?
Well, that was me. My father believed in, like, calling a guy.
Sure, yeah.
You know,
which
like,
makes total sense. And
well,
there's
that
no
was it. He was a
judgment.
lawyer, and he was busy, and he wasn't about to learn. We didn't have a tool.
Yeah, right, yes.
My father was not having that.
Yeah.
You know, he was just like, that's someone else's job, man.
I feel...
You know, like, if I do his job, what if he starts doing my job? It's anarchy.
Society collapses.
Yeah, he had a really great rap on why he didn't want to fucking fix something.
Yeah, right.
He was like,
honey, I'm not going to change the light bulb.
The air conditioning, what's the air conditioning guy going to do?
Cats and dogs living
sue
together?
Somebody? Right. It's like, it'll be fucking anarchy. If everyone just does their job and keeps it straight.
Mass hysteria.
Yeah, but he really, that was his thing. He's like, well, what if I start fixing shit around here? Isn't that that guy's gonna go hungry?
Yeah,
you know, like
funny.
some people just, like his father probably didn't have tools, and he didn't like. So I don't know how to fix shit. You know, like I really can't. Like I own a house now, so I learn. I can do little things.
I was about to say,
like I'm okay
owning
at
a house.
Yeah,
is
made you start to like because you might as well try to fix it because. What if you break it further? Who cares? It's gonna get fixed anyhow.
Yeah.
And some things I was like, whoa, I fixed that.
Yeah.
You know, all you have to do is shake it and kick it.
That feeling right there, whoa, I fixed that. That feeling is so rewarding.
Totally.
And it is.
I fixed something the other day.
It's the manifestation of you having done a thing.
Right.
You see the result in the world. It is this just made manifest.
But
in the
imagine
world.
doing this.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, because people still like, that's the thing when you buy a handmade guitar from somebody, or you buy, you know, something like this, like, somebody made that guitar.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, from a piece of wood. Like, to me, that's still like magic. You know, that's still like a wizard did that. You know, like I've known a lot of guitar builders my whole life, and it still to me is like just magical. Right. Someone
Alec Les Paul.
Right. You know, it's like, you know, like a big corporation could do it with these big machines. It's not so magical. But, you know, like, you know, some guy who could do that to me, it's still magic because I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, I know people who can do it. I know how it's done. I've seen it done many times. But it's still, there's something, I think that's why when you play those guitars, it's different. It's a different experience than when sometimes you pull, you know, a factory-made guitar, like you could play a Mexican Strat and pull it off the thing and you're like,
sure.
Best guitar I ever fucking played.
Incredible.
It's ringing, it's doing everything it ought to do.
Absolutely.
For some reason, those cheaper guitars sometimes sound better. Like the inexpensive made Fender guitars now, every one I play, I played a Chinese one that was like $150. I'm like, that's a perfectly good guitar.
It is crazy how good the bottom of the market has become.
That's why it's all flipped. Like it used to be, like when I was, you know, like in high school, like there only was Gibson and Fender. There was Ibanez that started. You know, a lot of friends who had Ibanez artists, but you didn't want that. You know, you wanted a Gibson because that's what Jimmy Page had. You know, but they were $900. You know, and then the stuff that was $150 was just unplayable. Like the thing they sold at like Sam Goody, which was like a record store. A lot of people may not even know what the fuck it is, but it was like a record store that had some like inexpensive line of guitars.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
Like, and the guitars, like they couldn't even be made to play into.
No,
you know,
no.
But yeah, I forget there was some brands, Marlboro.
Oh yeah, Kent.
You see them around. You see them in pawn shops. You see those, you know, but you can't get them to play.
Right.
You know, like
they're baked raw.
Yeah, even if you plugged it into a loud amp, it would just start whistling. You know, like so you had to get like a Gibson or a Fender, or then an Ibanez came out, and then other PV electric guitars came out.
Yeah.
The T60, a lot of people had that. That was a good guitar.
The T60.
A lot of kids in my neighborhood had that guitar.
One.
Johnny Copeland played that guitar, but not too many other famous people, but Johnny Copeland killed on it. But one kid in my neighborhood had that guitar, and then like the Fender Lead 2 was big when I was young.
The Lead 2?
There was the Lead 1 and the Lead 2. They were like cheaper Fenders that came out like I was in high school, so like
Are those
early
like the
80s.
Bullet era ones?
Right.
Not Bullet headstock, but like
That
Fender
era.
Bullet.
Yeah,
that
it had
stuff?
like one humbucker, I think the lead one, and then there was the lead two. The bodies were a little different shape. They look kind of like Strats, but a little different.
Okay.
Like when you go home, you go, oh, that thing.
Yeah.
And they were pretty decent. They were cheaper, and then the Japanese guitars came out. But like, I remember like I always tell the story like on this like in 1970 when I got my first Stratocaster. I had my first Les Paul. I got them in the same year. Which is
Wow.
pretty.
That's a banner year.
I wasn't even old enough to drive. It was 1979. That's right, because maybe it was 80 when I got my Les Paul, but it was a 79 Les Paul.
Okay.
And it was new.
Yeah.
But I got my first guitar. I was in high school. I saved all my money and borrowed money and did whatever I did to get money. And had my father drive me. I couldn't drive.
Acts which shall never be spoken of.
Yeah, probably.
What year was the Strat?
79.
79. Did it? I'm trying to think. In 79, was that when they went to 2 pots and the input jack was on the guard?
No, that
Or
would
was
have bummed me out.
That's early 80s?
No, mine was like a Strat. Just had a big headstock and a bullet. And
okay.
Thick lacquer and all that stuff. But
Right.
it was a Strat, and I was just like, for a year, I was like doing this fucked up thing to my father. Like I used to like to do fucked up things, but not fucked up, but like.
Hi,
like,
Dad.
I would cut out pictures of Stratocasters and put them in his briefcase.
I don't remember having
Just
that.
so you remember, I want one of these things. And it wasn't like he was just running out buying me one.
I knew if I could break them down after a while. He was being stubborn about that. 'Cause I think they knew if I got a
Campaign of
guitar,
psychological warfare.
all their plans for me were toast. And it's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So they knew it, so
Yeah.
they fought it.
Our boy's going to be a lawyer.
Well, yeah. My father's a lawyer. His father's a lawyer.
Yeah.
That was the hope.
Oh, man.
And they didn't think they knew if I got the guitar, the law thing was going out the window, which is exactly what happened. But I would like cut out pictures of Stratocaster and put them like at his place, like where we ate dinner. Like he must have been going like,
Oh, boy.
I was relentless. I wanted a Stratocaster.
That was the
And
day-
kids are like that.
The day they gave up.
Yeah, and finally he broke down. He gave me the last couple $100 I needed to get it, and had to drive me to get it because I couldn't drive.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That was a big problem. Is I couldn't drive to a place. So
Man.
and I remember my father was like, "Well, I'll take you on Saturday," and it was like a Monday, and I was like, "Why Saturday?" He's like, "I have to go to work."
Right.
During the day.
Right. You've got this week
And I was like-
yawning out in front of you.
And I couldn't go to school. I just couldn't sit there, so I didn't. I couldn't fucking sit there going,
Fuck it.
oh my God, it's only Tuesday. How long is Tuesday gonna last?
Why am I going to?
So that whole week of school, I
I
would just get near the school and just turn around and go sit someplace and think about
That's
Stratocasters.
funny.
I just couldn't fucking do it. Then I get the Stratocaster and I was like, yeah, that was awesome.
Wow.
But you still remember that feeling of like staring at a Stratocaster, and then the second you got the Stratocaster, you're like, I need a Les Paul.
Yeah. It never
I didn't
stops.
know that was going to happen.
No.
I remember telling my father, like, if you give me this $300, I will never want another thing for
Ever.
the rest of my life.
Ever.
I get the Strat home, and I'm like, this is cool. How much
I'm
does
like-
that Les Paul cost? And then I'm cutting out pictures of Les Paul.
Yeah. Like,
Starts all over again. Now I need a fucking Marshall.
oh, man. Yeah. The
And it goes on to this day.
syndrome, it never stopped. Yeah,
It's like,
that was the beginning.
Yeah, well, Mike's having it right now. Everyone who touches the thing, if you're really into guitar, it's just
boy.
going to happen.
Yeah.
Because they're the coolest fucking things in
It's-
the world.
they really
What's
are.
fucking cool in that? I've
is-
sold guitars to people who don't even play guitar many times. They just look at them. They cherish them. They hang them on the wall.
It's a beautiful
iconic
object.
American thing. Like, even though it's not American anymore, but it's a from this guitar is, even though it's a reissue, is this would have been made in 1954. It's from a different era.
Yeah.
It's from the era where we hadn't gone to space yet. It's from a different period. And that's part of the attraction too. When you see an old Les Paul or an old Stratocaster, that's from another time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that. Like it's rock and roll. Buddy Holly played that.
Yeah,
That's a long time ago.
It is an interesting sort of window into the
Yeah,
past.
that's the way that Leo Fender designed this. I remember just staring at pictures of this, going, 3 of these, and you could move this, and think of the amount of sounds you could get if you move this. You could have these 2 pickups, and you could switch to that one.
What a brain! I mean, out of the
Fucking-
gate, in what other industry can you think of that the introductory version of the thing
Just changed the
basically-
world.
Is basically the best
The thing-
version.
right.
Right.
Well, that's
the
the
first
thing.
one.
Here, even
I tell you what.
the
I'm gonna
P-bass.
invent a
Right.
thing, and the
I'm gonna-
first one will be the best.
I'll invent this, and then I'll make a P bass.
Right.
Like the P bass, you could have stopped right there.
Yeah.
Like no one even bothered making a different kind of bass. That was just the shit, and it was the first one.
It is crazy.
You know, and he did other shit.
I seriously can't think of another.
Well, the Telecaster was the first guitar.
sector.
Yeah, the first thing he made was the Telecaster.
Right.
He could have stopped there. We need no other type of guitar. Right. You know, like, or maybe I'll just come up with Stratocaster and then we'll stop. You know, and then Jaguars and all that are cool and all that.
That's
but
bonkers.
like, really, the first things that came out with the solid body electrics were the things everyone uses. You know, like that's unusual. Like we don't drive the first car that came out.
No.
That thing only went like 20.
The first airplane?
Yeah,
No.
didn't go so good, right?
No.
It only went 20 feet.
Yeah. I'm just gonna hop in my right flyer and
you know, like the first car, you know, it's winded up. You know, like you don't see too many of those on the road. You know, but you see these every night in a bar. You know, like that is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You know, like and the amps even.
Yeah.
The first amps were the shit. You know, the first Fender amps.
It really is.
It is
very
unusual.
peculiar.
I never really thought of it like
Yeah,
that.
the
but-
endurance of the past and that
of just
way.
how well they were, you know, how well they were designed. There was
Yeah.
no like, well, those first guitars were cool, except they didn't have enough frets. You know, like it wasn't like that. We still have the same amount of frets. You know, like we still have this. Although guitars have been around and it came from other instruments and all
Sure,
that,
sure.
but electric guitars
Yeah.
didn't. And how they would work. You know, the pickups. You know, they come in with humbuckers later because these were a little noisy. But meanwhile, we went right back to these because they
Yeah.
sound better. You know, so like there's all that shit. So
Yeah.
that's all very interesting. And I always tell people that like if you really start learning about guitars, you're learning the history of the country.
Huh.
You know, if you like,
that's an interesting.
you
way to
wonder
put it.
why there aren't certain things built in the 40s. There was this thing called World War II happening, you know, and that really is why certain things were built the way they were built. You know, like, and the 30s was the Depression.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, that changed the way the musical instruments were built. You know, it just. You're learning the history of the country. All these people were immigrants.
Yeah.
You know, like Orville Gibson. You know, and the French people. You know, and
Yeah,
the
do you know
Guild
where the Gibsons
people.
were from? Do you know where they
No,
they hailed
Orville
from?
Gibson. I don't know much about them because they wound up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, of all
Right.
places. Most guitar companies started in New York City. Martin started in New York City.
Is that
He was
right?
over-
I didn't know that.
Yeah, New York Martins.
Oh, okay.
In the 1800s, they were in New York City and moved down for more room. Like that's why most people left. But they originally were.
Wait, are you trying to say there's not much room in New York
Yeah.
City?
Well, that's why they all left. Because they
That's
needed to
insane.
make more guitars. Like Epiphone were, I believe, Greek immigrants.
Okay.
And Guild
Yeah, I
was
think that's
Italian
right,
immigrants. That's why they were in Little Italy first. They would bring artisans over from Italy. They didn't have to speak English.
Oh, is that
they
right?
could move to Little Italy. You know, and they would bring over cabinet makers, guys who could do finishing.
Okay.
And then they moved to Hoboken because they needed more room. It's so close. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
They went eventually, you know, to where they went. And Epiphone were Greek, I believe.
I think that's right. It's
So it all starts in New York City
some
and
kind of
moves,
portmanteau
and
for
moves
the name.
out. You know, like and then the Guild people. Like it all started there in New York, and Martin's started in New York. But for some reason, Orville Gibson was in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Yeah.
So I don't know where he came
Was
from
it
and how
Kalamazoo
he.
or Battle Creek?
Kalamazoo.
It was Kalamazoo.
Yeah, that's where it always was until they kind of went to Memphis and all those other places.
Right, yeah.
But until they sold, because Heritage is still there.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So that, like how he, that happened with a lot of immigrants would wind up in Michigan or for some, maybe they had family there.
Who
or they,
knows? It is interesting how certain enclaves.
most people came into New
form
York,
in
but
certain unexpected
he could have just got on
places.
a train and went to Michigan because he had family there. But that's a good question. I don't know how Orville Gibson wound up in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Yeah.
What was even there before that. But
Well, maybe we'll find that in the comment section.
yeah, they'd be like,
somebody's gonna be
Dix, everyone, you have a
Look
podcast,
it
you don't
up,
even
idiot."
know this. You fucking losers. So here's an interesting question. They've gotten some interesting answers. What is one thing a lot of people don't know about Josh Grove?
Wow. Well, I mean, we might have already gotten to this with the curtain making
Well, yeah.
for 10 years.
That's certainly
that's,
something.
Yeah, that's definitely
because I have
pretty
some-
highly unusual.
I need some curtains.
Yeah, right. Talk to me after the show.
Yeah. I have some curtains.
So you actually know this, but a thing that not many people know is that I am a total pedant, and I insist on knowing as many words as I can, knowing as many useless words as I can, and that tends to have the spillover effect of sort of collecting a bunch of other weird knowledge. And so the other day when you called, and you're like, hey, what are you up to? And I mentioned, oh, I'm just doing my regular geography quiz.
That's right. I was like, at first I thought that was a joke.
Right. It'd be a pretty funny joke.
And then I was like, geography's cool. You're like, yeah, I forgot what region of the world you were looking over. I was like,
Right.
yeah,
so-
that makes sense.
So I've had the habit every few weeks or so of refreshing my knowledge of African geography and of parts of Asia that are usually kind of vague in my mind and need some.
Because that can come in handy when we're doing guitar shit.
You never know when you might end up on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
You know,
or when it, like,
oh shit,
a
I'm on
discussion
Jeopardy
of
right
Asian
now.
geography could break out, and you'd be like, "Look, you bitches,
Right.
I know
That
exactly
is not
where
the capital.
Yeah, I know exactly where Peking is. Thank you."
So I
But-
think.
No, which is funny because you have an
there being
amazing
like
vocabulary and amazing knowledge, and I don't let you talk to the customers.
yeah,
He's not on the phone.
Right,
I am. You know stuff. You know how to do all this. You have a better vocabulary than I do. I'll handle this.
I got it.
I'll talk to these people. What if they call from China? You know,
Oh, man.
Dude, is just studying your shit.
Right.
You guys are laid out beautifully.
Yeah. We'll just
It's a hell of a
mesh like
country, yeah.
gears.
It's a hell of a country you got there.
Oh my goodness.
And this, sort of leads into a lot of stuff. What's on the horizon for Josh Grove?
So, I mean, we have both been building such a broad base of diverse stuff, which has really been great. And so much of it has been stuff that I never really thought about doing or never thought, oh, I definitely have an interest in that. Your having introduced me to whatever the thing was has definitely made me be interested in and want to do the thing. So to take an example, I'd never really thought much about doing work on Les Pauls, say. And that's the thing that I really enjoy doing now. Les Pauls are gorgeous guitars. The thing that is on the horizon that I really am interested in bringing forward is introducing my own models.
The Highline.
So exactly, yeah.
Right. Which is very cool. I've seen the drawing.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things where we've just been so busy.
That happens. I was talking to Alex Glasser about that because Alex is a guitar builder.
Yeah.
But he's really a repair guy.
Right.
And he doesn't build much.
Just swamped.
I mean, I've seen these amazing ukuleles he's built, but he's like, I can't get around to
Yeah.
that now. Like, and some people do. Some people do both. But it's, the Protocaster makeover thing has taken off. So, like we had dreamed it would
Yeah,
someday, where
absolutely.
like there would be a lot of them
Yeah.
like coming in. Now there's almost too many, which only because we don't want to expand in that there would be 4 people doing your thing.
Yeah.
Maybe someday it would work out that way where there is a small
Yeah,
team,
maybe
because
some-
that's what Historic Makeovers is doing, obviously, because they want to do more guitars. You know, it's like-
Exactly. I mean, at some point, perhaps there will be some small crew of guys, but I mean, there are a handful of reasons that I feel disinterested in expanding in that kind of way. I mean, I think part of it is, I mean, this sounds so crass and cynical, but I think part of it is that there's potential harm to the brand in diluting the narrative of
Right.
like a guy, a basement,
A guitar.
sweating it out,
No doubt. That's why Mountain Cat is me.
Yeah.
I wish I could find somebody to show it all to. Like, when I started at Chelsea, there was just Les.
Yeah.
There's Danny and then the partner thing. But,
Sure.
But on Les's side, there was really Les. And another fellow worked for him, but he was just kind of there part-time sometimes. But you dealt with Les. You walked in, Les would be watching TV, you talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
It was super awesome. And then I became Les, basically. I became, because when I first started, the day I started working for him, he was in court trying to get custody of his daughter. So
God.
he couldn't be there.
Jesus.
So, and I'd hung out at that store, but I didn't really know how it worked. And I always tell the story, he gave me $1,000 and the keys, and he split.
Wow.
And he was like, I got to go. And I was like, dude.
Man, trial by fire.
I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. He was like,
bye.
Sorry, got to
See
go.
ya.
He had a beeper number, but he was like, you can't beat me, I'll be in court.
Wow.
And he leaves, and I'm like, oh my God. I didn't even know where the strings were. I didn't know anything. And then we became so close, and then he would not be there for long periods of time. He had another shop, and then he had some personal issues. So, there would be months where I wouldn't even see him.
funny.
But I became, I'd learned enough from him. I certainly knew how to shop work, and I just started saying things that he said. You knew how to do it because
Right.
you'd seen him do it, so you made up your own version of how to say that.
Sure,
You
yeah.
know, and that's what I kind of wanted from Mountain Cat. But someone would have to sit there and watch it. They'd have to why is a Cower guitar a Cower guitar? Well, because it's Doug Cower. He's in Sacramento, California. I met him.
Right.
How would someone else know that unless they just hung out a long time?
Yeah, I mean,
you can't just teach that to someone. Here's the list of builders. Here's their bio. Memorize it.
Yeah,
But if someone
yeah.
calls on the phone, I could just naturally start talking
Right,
about all
without
these
them
things
having
because
some
I
kind of relationship,
lived
yeah.
them.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not hard for me to remember why a Banshee's a Banshee.
Sure.
You know, or why a Chiohan guitar is a Chiohan guitar. You know, because, but to explain to someone else, they could easily learn it.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, they wouldn't know it
some aspects of
intimately, but they would know why a Chiohan guitar is just so kick-ass.
Well,
You know,
I mean, as we were talking earlier, I think so. So some of that could be taught, but then
and some of it ultimately can't.
exactly. I
But
mean,
that's why when I first started
like the
working at Chelsea, no one wanted to talk
personality
to
part, you can't
me.
teach that.
The customers would come in and I'd be like, "This last year," I'd be like, "No," and they'd be like, "When's he gonna be here?" I don't know. Can I help you?
He's in court.
They had no interest in talking to me.
Yeah.
You know, like I was young. I was like, you know, 24 or something, 25.
Yeah.
You know, like, but they had no interest. I didn't know enough to help them. Really, I was trying. You know, after like a year or two, I was doing it. You know, they knew, and then I knew some shit, and then they knew that I knew it. But I wasn't always like, I know everything about guitars. I'd be like, I'll ask Les when I see him.
Right. I'll answer your question.
Yeah, I didn't know the answer. I still don't know half the answers. But, you know, like, after a while, you start to do it. You know, like, and I hired other people. Like, you know, Daniel worked at Chelsea Guitars. He started when he was like 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the time he was 15, he was the best sales guy we had. He really was. I always just say that. He's like the best. He
Let's have
he just
a
had a
hand for
great, you know,
Dan.
everyone
Let's have
have
a quick hand.
their different sales, you know, techniques. You know, some people were pushy, but Daniel just had a really great way of talking to people and not
Yeah.
bullshitting them. And, you know, like, it was slightly different than mine. But, you know, he didn't stay there, he went off to college, but if he'd stayed there for a million years, would have been a Dynamite guitars guy. Now he's a Dynamite film guy. But, you know, he just had a great way with people, which was very different than mine, which was different than Les's.
Sure.
But he was just super, no bullshit, no pressure.
Yeah.
Knew what he was talking about. When he didn't, he knew to say, I don't know.
Well,
You
so
know?
let me turn the question around to you then. So what's on the horizon for Mountain Cat?
You know, it's hard to say, you know, like, because I didn't plan it the way it came out.
Sure.
So further planning would be probably stupid.
I think that's a really excellent point because, again, I didn't plan
Right,
for Protocaster to
planning-
become the kind
right.
of thing that it did.
Planning,
just
you have
roll
to be
with the
open.
flow.
Like if I
and
would
it
have
turned
said,
into a neat thing.
I don't do boutique guitars, I do vintage guitars,
Right.
because that was the fact of the matter. You're like, you know, like I didn't do boutique guitars. I wasn't interested in them. I did
Yeah.
vintage. I was in that world. When you're in the vintage guitar world, especially in New York City, new guitars are just bullshit. You don't even look at them. You know, if it wasn't made in the 50s,
Crap.
you don't. You just it wasn't in your thing. If it came in the store, you had no interest in
Yeah.
it. You were just so interested in old guitars and if they were real and how they were put together. So, as Mountain Cat, as I started Mountain Cat, I literally put up the first website. It was vintage guitars and Brian Monty guitars because I'd known Brian because he restored our guitars and he had his own models. And I said, I'll sell those. And that, I think, is what started people thinking it was going to be a boutique guitar shop. I just didn't list the rest of the builders yet. And it was a very primitive website, and it wasn't. I think I just moved into my place, like I had nothing.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's why when Doug Cowan called and was willing to consign,
Oh, that's right. I forgot that's how that worked out.
because I had no money. You know, so they were willing to consign guitars.
Yeah.
Doug sent a few guitars, and I got them. I was like, "Whoa, these are amazing!"
Yeah.
Like new guitars built by this guy who just called me. And this is an amazing guitar. And he was like, "Well, if you like my guitar, you should call Mike Potvin." I was like, "All right, I'll call that guy."
That's
and
right,
he
I forgot that
he
connection was
second.
through Doug.
Yeah, he was. They were all through Doug
weird.
originally. So then I called Mike Potvin, and he sent guitars, and they were super dope. And then I forget who was third, but probably someone I work with now.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, and then I met Adam from Satellite.
Yep.
But they were willing to consign guitars at the beginning, so it gave me something to work with. You know, so then, and I told them if I sell a guitar, I'll use it as the deposit, and I'll start buying the guitars. So I won't constantly ask for consignments. I just can't buy 3 of your guitars now. I just don't have the money.
Sure, sure.
So I slowly built it into, you know, something that became a boutique, more of a boutique thing than vintage thing, because the vintage market had collapsed.
Yeah.
And the boutique market was somewhere new to go.
Yeah.
And there was like Nightbob was very instrumental in helping me learn because he had done so many things over the years.
He's been the guy he's like the guy in the back of the black and white photo. He's like, wait,
Right, that's Zelig, right.
Is that Nightbob?
Right, that's the
Wait a minute.
That's
He's
the Zelig
in
movie.
every
That's a great
picture,
movie.
yeah.
But you know, like, but he'd, you know, had
Wait a
worked.
minute.
That's why he would tell me like stuff I didn't know. He'd be like, oh, you know, see this is grain filling. This wasn't really done properly. That's why this is sinking in here.
Yeah.
And you should tell this builder
That's
he's
an
not
encyclopedia.
he's not doing this right. And I would tell the builders what he was saying.
Yeah.
And they would do it. So like, and then when he got involved with Walter, I don't even know if he wasn't fully involved with Walter from Steely Dan, Walter Beck. And then we were all just doing this, and they would totally give us feedback on every guitar, and they were very honest. And you would tell the builder.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the next
He's a
guitar
no
wasn't
bullshit
like
guy.
that. So
Yeah.
we were all learning so much, and we were all learning together. And it was so much fun, and these guys became your friends. I used to talk to Doug Cower like I talk to you, at least every day, if not 3 times a day.
I talk to you more than I talk to anybody.
I talk to you probably more than I talk to my wife.
I was about to say, I mean, where's the ring, pal?
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, I call you usually first thing in the morning because something happened during
Right,
the night, you know, and then usually later that day something else has gone on because we have so many people's guitars coming in and out, all these things. You send me the pictures of the guy's guitar. I send to him. What did he say about that? Okay, and then I got to call you back. So we talk many times a day, and then I would talk to Doug Cower for when we were coming up with the Banshee ideas, you know, what to do with them. Like we were just because guitar guys talk to each other, and we were all learning from each other, and then we were doing exclusive projects with each other back then.
But to be able to sit down and have this conversation has been especially nice.
Yeah, because mostly I don't see you.
Right. Yeah,
Mostly we talk on the phone.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I have guitar
Talking on the phone,
builders.
it's usually, how's this one looking? Okay, good.
Yeah.
I've got this.
Yeah,
All right,
okay.
check.
Did you hear back from this guy? Great. Did those parts come in? Great.
Yeah.
Oh, I got some guy knocking on my door. I got to go back.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I've got 50 things that need to be taken care of right
yeah,
now.
a lot of it is I feel bad I'm rushing off the phone, but you know, you can see the calls coming in. That's what it is to be, you know, a small business.
Yeah, so to be able to sit down and chat.
Yeah, that's what the podcast is fun about. It's like, you know, we don't get to do this very often. Every once in a while, I'll be in Brooklyn, we go to your place, we hang out. You know, like you don't get to hear that often.
Hopefully people are still awake.
Right. You know.
Hopefully we haven't put everybody to sleep.
Yeah, well, you know, people, you know, listen to these things, you know, and but it is that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like that's why I think people enjoy podcasts.
Yeah, I think
You know,
so.
like you can get inside someone's head for 2 or 3 hours. You know, if you listen to like Joe Rogan, you know, like some extreme athlete, and you figure, oh, that's not gonna be that interesting, and the guy's so fucking interesting.
Absolutely.
Human beings are interesting. You know, that's why I think podcasts are popular. You know, your average human being is really fucking interesting. They're more interesting than some fucking TV show about that's a real person, a person that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, a real person generally is really interesting. And then if you're interested in guitars, and then you're learning about the people and how they became to do this. That was what was so interesting, even about working at Chelsea Guitars. You were meeting people, whether they were famous people or just regular people or working musicians, and getting to know them. You know, and you met so many interesting people. And that's what I loved about guitar shop work for a long time. Is I like people anyway. So you're just meeting the coolest people, and they're all guitar players. You know, they're your people. You know, it's the first time you're really in it. And then retail, after a while, turned into something that wasn't quite as pleasant. But for a long time, it was really just like, you know, like the Andy Griffith Show, like except with junkies and murderers and rock stars, you know. But like, you know, anything would roll into Chelsea. Like, you know, it was really like Chelsea was a bad neighborhood. People don't realize that now it's a nice neighborhood. But when I started working there, it was a fucking bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
We had that buzzer thing on the door.
Oh,
you know,
that's
where like,
interesting.
and a lot of people
It's
did
one of
not get
those,
buzzed in because you're like, I'm not letting that fucking guy in. That guy's clearly gonna kill me.
thank you.
Yeah, that guy. I remember the first day when Les was leaving, he's like, oh, and if somebody comes to rob the place, just let him tie you up and put me in the back. We'll find you later. And I was like, that's a joke, right? He's like, no.
No, it
He's
isn't.
like, they probably won't kill you. They're just gonna tie you up and put you in the back.
Bye-bye.
I mean, our door, we had that buzzer thing on the door, and people had slammed into it so many times to get in when we would let them in, they broke the door jamb. So the buzzer thing no longer worked. We're like, now we're fucked. You know, but then it started becoming a nicer neighborhood.
Yeah.
But Chelsea was a bad neighborhood. It was part of Hell's Kitchen when I first started working there.
Yeah.
So like and there was shitloads of street activity. So like you were a guitar shop guy, but you were also like a barroom brawler. You know? Exactly. You had to control this. You have expensive shit.
Yeah, part retail,
and
part
fucking
Mad Max.
Stone criminals. You know, it will fucking kill you. You know, like so like, and I was young, so I thought that was kind of exciting, but there was crazy activities that went on in there, you know, and then like, you know, we were all kind of nutty people. So like, you know, Daniel's first job, he was maybe 14, it was when cell phones first started coming around, and I hated them. We used to make him, we'd be like, that guy's on a phone. We'd make Daniel go up and make them get off the phone. He was a little kid, and he had so much balls, and he would like literally, we'd be like, dude, cell phone, and there'd be like some businessman, there's New York City, so these people think they're important, and Daniel would just sit there, he'd be like 14 years old, he'd be like, get off the phone, get off the phone. Get off the phone. Get off the phone. And they'd be like, this is important. He's like, get off the phone. Get off the phone. Remember that one guy goes, he's badgering me. We're like, I told him to badger you.
Yeah.
Don't complain to me.
He's being paid to badger.
It's literally his job to badger you.
Right. He's going to get fired if he doesn't badger.
This guy's like, this is important. He's like, Daniel's like, get off the phone. Get off the phone. It's like, you know, like that was what was fun about guitar. So that I miss that kind of shit. You know, like, but I still, you know, you sit on the phone and all this. You know, we've gotten involved with so many characters.
Yeah.
You know, like we have so many joint customers, and they become like your friends. You know,
Yes,
so like, that's what is beautiful
I mean,
about
there is a familial connection.
Yeah, and you know, you can tell some of the guys, you know, even guys who are working on their guitars right now, like, you know, you want to do a really great job for them. You just like them.
Yeah.
You know, like,
absolutely.
and that's, you know, like, you know, where that, you know, what's on the horizon for Bandcat is like, you really, I just want to keep doing the shit we do. I just want to keep, I don't take on that many builders anymore. I don't really look to, when it magically comes up, I do it, but I don't, because I have almost too many now, there's only just me to answer the phone call. So I don't try to rep 100 guys because I think I can make more money, but something does come up, like Black Volt amps just came up. I just happened to see a picture of them and thought they were cool.
Yes.
And I saw that they were in LA, so I called my friend Chris, who's in LA, and he was like, dude, that's so weird. I was at the guy's house yesterday. I bought an amp. Call him right now. And he's just cool, super cool, small build. I love to have him on the podcast, except he's in LA. But I started carrying those, but I can't remember before that who I took on before that. It's. At the beginning, it was like you were constantly looking. You'd call people to see what other dealers they had.
Yeah.
Now it's sort of has to be magical. And it has to fit into the place,
I think that's right.
And that kind of thing.
It's got to be a notch.
So, but it's hard to see, we're doing, the makeover business, was just a dream at a certain point that we would be doing this, and now it's something we do every day.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there are. I think we said this earlier. I believe there are 12 Les Pauls in the shop right now.
Right. If you would have told us even back then that we had 2 at the same time, you'd be like, that'd be fucking crazy.
All right.
Yeah. So these things can happen. Even Mountain Cat to me was a dream. I worked in someone else's guitar shop. I'd be like, wouldn't it be cool if I had my own place, but I just kind of dealt with who I wanted to, and it would be outside the city. And now I sit in it every day. And at a certain point, that was just like some kind of cool daydream.
Yeah.
So that's really cool, and you can do shit like that. So I know wherever all this stuff's going, it's all just going to be about trying to make customers happy.
I mean, one of the things that I'm looking forward to about it is that it will be the partnership that we've had.
Right. And I told your father this because you put me on the phone with your father.
Yes.
And that was like Christmas time. I thought you were back, but you were still home. And you're like, oh, my father would like to say hi to you. And he was like saying thank you to that, we worked together. And I was like, honestly, I talked to your son more than probably anyone else I know for 8 years straight. I've never had a moment that wasn't a fucking pure joy. There aren't that many people I could talk about.
And he believed that lie?
Have we ever had a
that
disagreement ever? And you meet people like that, and that's if you could work with people like that and surround yourself with people like that.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
I'm been very fortunate in my life where I've met great people.
Yeah.
Daniel I've known since he's 13 years
I mean,
old.
Daniel
And Mike,
Daniel not so much, but
yeah, not so much Daniel.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know Daniel's mother. I know him since
he's okay.
He's a little
Let's
kid.
not get crazy.
So that's what it's all about. Daniel originally was a guitar. He went to film school, and now he does this for me. He doesn't, because we know each other for so long. He could do other shit. He works, has a very real job now. But just to be able to do this with people you like, you talk like Chio Han and all these people. And Chio's a friend of mine, and he makes these amazing guitars. All these cool people, and then you do a business with them, Adam from Satellite, and all these people these are my friends anyway, and we get to all be in a business together and make a living at this. That is, to me, is heaven.
Yeah.
So what I want to do for the rest of my life is this.
Yeah.
This was a dream at one point.
Well, that strikes me as a nice place to put a period.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So to wrap this up, if you are interested in a Protocaster makeover, generally how it works is you give me a call. You don't call Josh because he won't call you back, as we discussed. But right now, we're right at the point where we could probably take in another one, but we don't want to hold guitars for long. But we're sometimes where you have to wait a few weeks. But you call, we figure out what you want to do. The prices are roughly on Josh's website, which is protocaster.com. There is a menu that is, but it's not. Everyone's slightly different.
Just a quick correction: Protocaster guitars.
What did I say?
I
got that wrong.
I think you said PillsburyDoughboy.com.
Yeah, I said Pornhub.com.
That's my subsidiary.
Yeah, I'm getting punchy. Sorry about that. You may want to edit that out. Yes, so you just call, and each guitar is different. There is a menu of rough pricing, but there's always slight variations. And if it's easier, we'll charge you less. If it's way more hard, we'll probably charge you about the same because we keep fucking doing that. But and we love doing it, so give us a call for that. And of course there are Protocaster guitars, and there's also ProtocasterGuitars.com. Protocaster.com has the guitars, or they're on my website, obviously, and my Instagram and my Facebook. I post a lot more than Josh does because he's busy building, so my Instagram and Facebook have a lot more of Josh's stuff than Josh's does, simply because he has to make the shit. All I have to do is put up the picture of it. So that is easier. And these, as I said, you're hopefully either watching this on YouTube or you are listening to it on iTunes, because if you're listening to it on some other shit, then we're not responsible for that. Maybe you are, I don't know. Maybe there's other ways to get it that I don't know about. But we really appreciate you hanging in with us, and we really hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.